Hello, I'm David Reed, Extension Tobacco Agronomist at the Virginia Tech Southern Piedmont Center. And I'm going to go through a very brief presentation on our variety trials that we have underway at the research station this season. It's always very interesting to have our field day and allow growers to go through the variety trials and let them look at this firsthand and look at the differences in the tobaccos and particularly look at prospective new varieties each year. We do have a number of variety trials underway this year. We have 3 flue-cured trials. The first 2 are regional tests, the regional small plot and then the regional farm test. Both of these are prospective new varieties that are going through the testing program and moving toward the evaluation phase for them to be approved to move on into the official variety trial and to be released to the public. And then we also have similar trials with Burley. We have a regional quality test for the Burley tobacco. Again, that's a regional test looking at potential new varieties, and these will be evaluated to determine if they should be continued on and released publicly. And then we're also conducting what we call an official variety trial for Burley. And then we have 2 additional tests, variety trial for our Virginia dark-fired cured tobacco. And then we have a small variety trial looking at Connecticut broadleaf varieties. We're doing this since there's a lot of interest in growing Connecticut broadleaf, and it looks at like a potential new tobacco crop for some growers in Virginia. So we want to look at the different varieties and how they perform. Certainly, I want to thank the staff of the research station. They give these variety trials a lot of attention. It's a source of pride to try to grow exceptional tobacco in these trials. And there's a lot of data, particularly for the research or the regional trials, a lot of data that has to be collected. We'll have measurements on leaf size, a lot of detailed information on days to topping, and so it's a lot of data that has to be collected in the field. So our staff is critical for that. And then particularly for the regional evaluation trials, we'll conduct displays of this tobacco here at the research station, both for flue-cured and Burley. So that takes a significant amount of effort to get that tobacco prepared to allow buyers and other evaluators of this tobacco to come in and take a look at hands of tobacco from each of these varieties. So again, we thank the staff at the research station that supports this effort. Again, it's very interesting to look at these varieties side by side, and that's really the importance of being able to conduct a actual field day to allow visitors to look at the tobacco and how one variety differs from another in perhaps color or leaf thickness or size or just the stature of the plant. There are a lot of different factors that we can look at. This is an interesting slide to me that on the right there, NC71, that represents a variety that made a dramatic step forward for us in terms of black shank resistance several years ago. Unfortunately, that resistance faded as the black shank organism evolved to address that resistance. And then beside that, in this shot, the NC1960 represents potentially the next significant step in black shank resistance going forward. So NC71 is a very historic variety in terms of black shank resistance, and then that 1960 may represent the next significant advance in black shank resistance. Growers will have seen this slide last year and describing just the potential or the new varieties that were released for the 2020 season. And we had 3 last year, NC1226, CC145, and 2340. And so again, it's interesting to look at how these varieties compare in the field to what we're already growing. So there on the right, we have the CC 145. On the left, NC 1226, and beside that, PVH 2310. Two varieties at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of disease resistance. And then finally, the PVH 2343 there on the left. And certainly that has a different leaf shape and a little different structure compared to the CC27 on the left. This is just a single shot from our Burley variety trial and the KT219 that was released for this season, and we can see how that compares. A very large, robust plant architecture there. And then finally, our dark variety trial, Shiree, is really the last of the Virginia varieties that are traditional here for our growers. And as we're looking for other varieties from elsewhere, so we have the Kentucky variety KTD6 and PD7312. So again, it's always important to look at how big are these, particularly with dark tobacco, how big the stalk is, how big the leaf is, how easy it is to handle when we cut. So again, that's goes back to the value of conducting these trials and collecting data that we can discuss later in our winter season. So again, we're really just, for the flue-cured, we're just beginning to harvest that tobacco, and we'll be harvesting the dark tobacco in the coming week perhaps, and then Burley will be shortly thereafter. So we'll have quite a bit of data that we can share with you later, looking at yields and the quality of this tobacco. And I thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact.